half of that is already digital in a digital format. So it's already a big thing. So we'll talk about that broad market, but then also the move to programmatic. All right, so we have got a working group in the IAB started to look at digital out of home. So we had some early discussions. If you're interested in getting involved, let us know afterwards, and these four people are a font of knowledge. Steve, I'm going to start with you. So there's been a lot of change in the out-of-home market in the last 12 months, a lot of consolidation. As a sell side, as an inventory pool, where are we at with digital out-of-home generally?
So, as you said, it's just ticked over half now out-of-home spend. I think the last 10 years there's been rapid growth in digital inventory coming in kind of premium locations, internal locations. I think realistically the way that's been transacted today is obviously still very, very manual in the planning and the buying and the reporting of that. It is still very much based in the legacy of out of home in terms of the packaging of sites, fixed assets over a week or 2 weeks to gain maximum reach and frequency impact. So I think what we're seeing digital out of home really kind of starting to come through how out of home has been bought and sold from a legacy perspective. But obviously with it being digital, there are far more capabilities that exist with the screen and the contextual moment you're able to deliver a message. So we're starting to see data feeds triggering different content at different times based on the weather, based on traffic, based on pollen counts, all sorts of things. But I think the figure was something like it's sub 5%, 10% of digital at home globally that is, you could say, really being used to its full dynamic capability set. And that would be true in this market too.
Interesting. When I think about the out-of-home market, it's got a lot of parallels with digital even before we get to the programmatic side in terms of it's the one where different formats, different venues, you get constantly growing in types of inventory. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes. Kath, from the buy side, how are you coping? What are you doing?
We're very early stages at this point, and I think there's still quite a journey going from the programmatic perspective. We are at the moment just trying to understand and educate ourselves on what's going on, and we're calling on a lot of our partners, a lot of whom are in this room, to help us do that as well. And we're working very heavily with PostSpec, who are the out-of-home specialists for density. But what we're doing in terms of looking at the programmatic capability is putting the Amnet programmatic lens on that, and that is a process that we go through for pretty much anything that we are looking at developing, and it's not super sexy or exciting, but it's really necessary, and it's a lot about just understanding the landscape and what's going on in the landscape. So we look at the technology piece and what's how is it all being enabled programmatically, what are the trading mechanics, which partners are involved in that from a technical perspective, can we activate with our existing demand side partners, and then of course the media and who is participating from a media perspective, what are they making available, where is it, how do we access it, and from a kind of the most important part of that is what's the narrative for the client. So, why should you buy, if we're looking at programmatic outcome, why should you buy it programmatically? What's the benefit? Is there one yet? What's that story? And that's probably the most important part. So demand internally around programmatic outcomes is probably more driven by that technical piece at the moment in terms of understanding what we can do. And then I think eventually we'll introduce it to clients, not from the point of view of now you should redirect all your digital out-of-home buying into programmatic activation, but who have we got doing programmatic that's maybe not doing a lot of out-of-home? And now that we can access this format, how do we bring that into their story and use the data capability that we have in the omni-channel capability that we have to build that bigger picture for them?
Yeah, hopefully developing that bigger story we can do as an industry together. And Mo, so as this grows, you obviously set up a system and a verification area. Everyone in this world is very familiar with ad verification from a digital point of view. What are you doing and what's different compared to a normal digital verification service?
That's a very good question, Guy. I think we have to look at the journey that out-of-home's going on. Not long ago, out-of-home was bought based on panels. Now with the digitisation of it, buyers are becoming more and more sophisticated. And then in the future, and what this panel is about, is really how do we buy it programmatically. So I think my answer is we're driven by what the buyers need at every stage of the buying journey for out-of-home. So right now, with digitisation of the digital screens and so forth, we can start to look at things like, okay, panels were delivered, great, that's how we buy it right now. But we're also delivering plays and exposure time, ad length, and share of time. But I think, as more and more that digital out-of-home becomes programmatic, we'll need to start to look at the online media metrics and really start to say, okay, which ones can we also apply these to digital out-of-home? Number one, does it make sense? Number two, how does that look like? And then number three, what are the ones that are purely digital out-of-home and that they need to stay there because they will really shine a light on how great out-of-home is.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity because I think if we think of the journey we've been on with CTV and the battle to get viewability when it might not be the fitting metric, the more sort of responsibility we can take early on, the better. Steph, historically with out-of-home, it's been very much based on your audience measurement system, Move. Where does digital out-of-home play there and how's that evolving?
Yeah, I think the IAB Move are committing to the funding to upgrade, if you like, the measurement system. As it stands today, it's industry accepted by and large, and over the next couple of years, Move putting in funds to, I guess, these are a factor in digital at the moment. It is a panel would be given a week-long contact score, and so what the IAB are investigating now is how do you take into account the share of voice that you have on a digital screen, and then looking at various methods for that.
So including time of day or
Yeah.
the different...
Yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah.
So will that sort of live together with verification? How do you see all the different metrics coming together?
I think it will need to.
Yeah.
But I think, first of all, far smarter people than I will piece that together. But I think the first port of call is getting the audience measurement piece right. And that can exist in parallel with the work that Mo's doing from a verification perspective, because we want to test out. We want to be able to say to advertisers that are asking the question of us, what was the exposure time, number of plays? It's quite right that should be something we can deliver via a third-party tool. So I think they run in parallel in terms of how we test and learn, but eventually, yes, we'll get to a point where they come together. Yeah.
It's not that we've always done running digital. There's always a few streams running at the same time. John, so obviously beyond, I guess, verification and measurement, there's a whole lot of other data opportunities with, programmatic. You guys are playing around in this space globally?
Yeah, we we released Digital Out of Home through the Verizon DSP about 4 months ago now. We were in a good space where Verizon actually has some out-of-home technology in the States, and it only made sense to set it up so we could do it programmatically. And yes, it does leverage the data that a lot of the brands already have within a buying platform across multiple channels, and really to harness that on a brand new channel. I think what I've learned and what the team are learning in Australia and other markets, every market is very, very different. So how EMEA are measuring data, how the US are looking at it in Australia, even and the vendors are doing their own things with data and audience measurements and all that type of thing as well. So in Australia, it's been a piece where it's really understanding what the client wants to see from value from doing it digitally. Like Kath was saying, where is the value there? You don't want to. The out-of-home channel is a very it's creative. It's a fantastic channel. We don't want to impose our programmatic measures or way of doing things on that channel per se. So we really want to adapt to that and keep its sexiness. Really, it's a learning curve, and it's a big education piece that we're going through.
It's getting that balance right.
It is.
If you can do an RNF type thing within a programmatic environment, that'd be quite powerful.
Yeah, I mean, look. Other data, we have lots of first-party data from publishers, from advertisers, but then getting that location data is also pretty key. So we're finding where we're getting device IDs of people that are walking past a particular panel. We understand that they've been exposed to a certain ad at a given time. That's quite powerful to then be able to interrogate that data, build particular audience segments, and then target them on another channel. So it's really bringing to life an offline medium into the real world online.
I'd agree with that. That's going to be a big part of the programmatic story. The movement piece, the location piece, what we can do in mobile advertising as well as out-of-home advertising, kind of going hand in hand, creating that big, opportunity for channel.
So on the flip side, and I haven't prepared you guys for this, so what is that? So we've heard from Dennis on privacy and ID and changes.
Anyone has some advice, I think.
So it's sort of a watch this space in terms of how it all comes together, I guess. But yeah, there are absolutely some opportunities with location, I imagine.
Yeah, location is, I'm not going to say it's the currency. Currently, for digital out-of-home, like I said, it's done differently. There's something called the impression multiplier, and that's based on the move data that is essentially telling the DSP there's a certain number of people behind that panel, and there's an ad, so you multiply it by that number of people. The location data, it's going to get it's going to get a lot more accurate and can really start to feed into the algorithm of the buying platforms, whether or not they want to show a personalised ad and how they want to, what time, and really go down to that day part targeting. That's we were saying before, it's definitely a different way of buying at the moment.
So we've danced around the metric side of things and the deliverables, but, and I hate what does success look like, sorry, I'm like Wally for even saying it, but really what are the metrics that people will be, today and then tomorrow actually looking forward to? Kath, what are your clients, if you buy digital out of home today, what are they measuring? Is it a deliverable? Is it
Well, it's another kind of learning piece for us because we're still trying to understand traditional, for lack of a better word, out of home and what the metrics are around that. And learning about things like impression multipliers, it's a totally different way of buying for us and for our teams as well. So when it comes to the success piece, that's where our global post is going to be so important to help, bring all that together. But even Mo and I were talking earlier just about, the verification piece or the measurement piece within what's happening in those screens. So things like, could we bring some digital metrics to the out-of-home aspect around things like completions of videos and completion rates of those sorts of things, which are really the currency of a lot of video advertising at the moment. But then we also don't want to impose those digital metrics into a world where it's not the correct thing. Yeah, and sometimes we do that, and we need to not do that. So that's going to have to be a group effort as well, I think.
And I think on that note, it'll evolve. It has to. A common metric being CPCV would potentially be the equivalent in out of home being the likelihood of being exposed to that ad. Only until we have that level of measurement or technology, likes of China and other countries, they do have facial recognition. They know how many faces are in front of a panel. They know how many cars are going underneath the billboard, and it becomes a lot more accurate. So this is going to evolve quite quickly. I'm certain of that. But where digital, out of home is today. It's very much a high level brand kind of buy because it is it's not a science just yet, but using the DSP's data behind that evokes different types of buying behaviours and way to personalise buying across different channels as well.
And sorry,
I was just going to add that that's very much a result of, I don't know if that's working or not. what out of home has traditionally been seen as a very much a brand building medium, and the why for us in terms of as we kind of look and test and learn as you're going into a programmatic ecosystem, for want of a better term, is that digital out of home can be more powerful and do more than that. When the ad show last year, we saw the benefit of taking to market the opportunity to, instead of buying by a fixed number of assets over a fixed number of days, start to be able to target tactical messages to certain times, at certain days, at certain locations, which opened up, very simply, opened up opportunities for like 2-day sales or ads that had different pricing triggered by data feeds depending on the sale of a flight to Fiji online that would change once it's sold out. So we're at this stage where we're like that those are the kind of metrics when we talk about success that I'm really focused on, that ROI to the customer of being able to buy digital out of home in a different way for different reasons to drive tactical outcomes.
Which brings us on to the obvious, so clients are using that. Are they building creative to suit that strategy?
Getting there. I think the creative is always the place to go in terms of when things do and don't work. Kind of back to the point made earlier around the use of digital out of home, and brutally more the electric poster than perhaps it could have been, or it will now go on to be. I think that's just a massive opportunity though for that. So the stats tell us that there's a way to go in terms of how the creative can be improved to be more powerful in that moment of context, whether the context of the location, the environment, the audience, whatever it is. But that's where the opportunity is.
Yeah.
So, Steve, just on that, we're definitely seeing a whole range of creatives come through, and I think the more sophisticated the buyers get, the more sophisticated and creative the creatives get, but then at the same time, the more that they want to measure and verify. So I think, as the sell side gives the buyers more and more opportunity to be creative and to buy in different ways, then the creatives are going to come out and people are going to start to think about them creatively. And I think, some of the campaigns that hit our desks are really complicated because of that reason, and they've spent a lot of money on creative and how they've bought it, and then they want it measured. So, I definitely can see it from our end.
And I think the point about this, right, it's on us, on the sell side to actually educate about that, what to do. I think that's quite right. It's definitely on us.
And is that feeding in global creative as well? Or is it mostly local developed creative?
That's mostly local, but there's certainly examples of global.
I'd say as well in the creative piece, I think we've still got work to do on getting everybody into the creative planning phase of things as well, because if we're talking about being able to integrate the likes of out-of-home, digital out-of-home into programmatic, there is an opportunity to continue those conversations and what have you through creative and being able to talk to users wherever they're seeing those ads. And I don't think we are always kind of have a seat at that table in that creative planning stage in the agencies or the strat teams or the creative agencies or wherever that happens to happen, is kind of with the opportunities that dynamic can bring, with the opportunities that trigger-based stuff can bring. Creatives, you can do some really cool stuff potentially now, and I think sometimes we get so stuck in the kind of end of the funnel of the planning and the booking part that we're missing out on some of those opportunities.
Yeah, it's also scale, because if we think about our journey with video or audio, all of it, and we start with the retrofit something else and squeeze it in, and then it's almost, we take years trying to roll that back and build fit for purpose. John, are you seeing, I guess it's early days for you guys in that space, are you seeing anything interesting coming out from the States?
In general, or for...
Yeah, or creative, or just how clients are... Sorry. Who's picking on you?
Not yet with the creative, but the insights that we're getting currently from the States is that, in programmatic, to Kath's point, we have bastardized banner ads to some extent, right? And we don't want to let that kind of execution and planning tech get in the way and wreck what we have as an amazing thing in the out-of-home space. And really we want to use the insights that we get from understanding those users' behaviours offline, how they get to work, what routes they take, what shopping centres they go to, all that kind of stuff to really then feed into what is the creative message going to be in an even better way on another channel or on another billboard or panel somewhere else. So that's the kind of creative messaging. But in terms of what we're seeing from the States, I think we're seeing it ramp up hugely through a digital, through the platform, because there's a hell of a lot of competition from smaller players. In Australia and New Zealand, you've got some really big players, O being one. And they have very good technology and innovation themselves. Australia is ahead in tech and innovation for the out-of-home space.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you have like two very, very big players who probably skew very metro, and then some interesting in-store and airport, and then a whole lot of smaller players that it might be a bit of a two-stream economy for a while, would you imagine? Or
one of the concerns on the out-of-home space is that programmatic can be a threat, but really some of those more savvy vendors are really starting to see that programmatic is going to be a huge advantage and incremental revenue for them because of what we do, the efficiency, the data-led insight, the all of that consolidation, which we've been fighting for programmatic. When we started programmatic 7 to 10 years ago, agencies were using upwards of 8 to 10 DSPs when I was in the UK. Now it's pretty standard for them to be using 2 or 3, and they need that efficiency because it's just too costly otherwise. So I think the out-of-home space, you'll have the relationships with the vendors and the agencies will continue to be very, very strong, and then you'll have the programmatic player bringing in that incremental performance aspect as well.
so for the guys not playing in this space yet, John, how different is it? Like in terms of workflow, process, all of it?
Look, it's probably not for me to say. There's out-of-home vendors that have their own technology and they have a really strong position in the market because of having market share, and it will evolve. It has to evolve, but there's a lot of small out-of-home vendors that are trialing because they're more nimble, they can, but they don't have the big market share like the big players. So it's
Are you seeing that, Mo? Are you seeing some of the smaller players come through?
Yeah, definitely. I think smaller players which are 100% digital, I think they move faster because they are 100% digital, and they get it. And they do need a competitive advantage as well. So, if you're focusing, if you've got 100% digital assets and you're smaller, you need something to do, then programmatic is a good move, especially if you can prove it fast or fail fast and then continue on and see the best way to do it. And I think the earlier they get on, the faster they have an opportunity to shape it as well. So when the bigger guys come in, obviously, it's a different story, but yeah.
I think to your point earlier on, it's very much been about a market consolidation. The top 4 became the top 2, and the internal systems migration piece, which I'm pretty sure this room will know lots about. That's getting the backyard in order.
That's been your last year, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So we feel for this too. Have a start thinking about questions from the floor, because this is an interesting space, and I am getting. I think 2 years ago I got data calls on digital audio, and I think it's now changed to out of home. Kath, obviously you're on the digital side, and maybe this is to the whole group. Like, how do we go about educating we've got the traditional out-of-home buyers and then the digital buyers. Who are the bigger group that we need to sort of get up to speed? Get your competitors here.
Question. It's kind of funny because I was thinking about this when we were talking about the questions and stuff earlier in the week. And 3-4 years ago, and anybody that has been at Amnet will remember this, we used to, when we did our programmatic education sessions, we go, what's the future look like? And we'd go, oh, we're going to be able to do facial recognition technology on out-of-home screens. Like, that's cool and creepy. And like, that was our, like, this is the future, this is where this technology is going to go, this is going to be a really cool thing. Now it's kind of getting here. And it's one of the, not the last areas, but it's certainly one of the pieces that's kind of been missing from that big picture so far. We've still a long way to go with TV, a long way to go with audio. And I think, I don't know that it's one or the other because it's a different, it's going to be a different purpose for every client as well. And there will be placements where it should be bought the way that it's being bought now. And that shouldn't change. We should try and change that. It's going to be about identifying where programmatic can bring something that's not there at the moment to enhance those client strategies as well. I'm not sure if that's the same for you guys.
Yeah, great. I think it's some of the really cool stuff that is going on. Being able to do that at scale is where I think the value is. And as you say, there's a whole bunch that should just carry on as it is today.
I guess my biggest lesson in out-of-home, and luckily we're working quite closely with the IMA, which is great, is on that difference in governance and standards from a creative point of view, which possibly our world is sort of not as impacted generally. So making sure that we're doing creative that fits all the rules of public spaces, depending where that public space is. I know at the moment in out-of-home, it's very much pretty much every piece of creative goes through a system of verification.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've got contracts with councils. This is, as you say, a public space medium and very public if something was to go up that shouldn't, and so therefore not just the eyeballing, but the system of it's the human that does it, because that's what we contract to commercially with our partners.
Will that hold back dynamic, or will those sort of components be okay coming together?
I don't think it'll. No, I don't think it'll hold it back.
Okay.
It shouldn't do, but it'll be about the educating that home suppliers do to their commercial partners about the opportunity.
That's a different workload for us as well, because at the moment the tech kind of takes care of that component, but when we do introduce this type of buying, knowing that we're going to have to do that verification point for creative with each individual supplier is something that we need to consider in the workflow as well.